All right, everybody, welcome back into Concrete Jungle, a New York baseball podcast, coming to you live from the third floor, North Park Building, FingerLakesFun.com in Seneca Falls. Pretty nice day. Paul Russo, Kyle Evans to my right, the producing extraordinaire man with many stats and many titles, Nate Sharman handling the controls behind the scenes. Boys, happy Thursday, happy almost Friday. Yeah, it's been a pretty interesting week so far in the baseball scene. Good news for, I guess, baseball purists everywhere. We got Acuna coming back. Probably not great news for the Mets faithful, but, I think we all just have to live with it because we got our beloved new patron saint of center field coming back. So, anyway, Nate, good to see that you've recovered from your windburn from last night. That you're still with us. That's good.
Oh, yeah, it was windy up there in Wayne coming off the lake especially, and there's some snowflakes in the air, so good to be in a little bit better climate here in the FingerLakes1.com studios.
Yeah. Kyle, how about you? How's your week been so far?
Can't complain. Going really well.
Good.
Looking forward to the Yankees completing the sweep this afternoon.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's jump in. So we're torn on how to start this, but not really. We're going to start with the Mets because the people love violence, blood sells. So, look, I mean, the Mets are just continuing their pretty much torrid warpath through the NL to start the year here. Best team in baseball, hands down, I feel like at the moment, safe to say. But it's been weird. Both New York teams are pretty much on the same path at the moment in a weird way, but we'll obviously get to the Yankees here in a few moments of time, but the Mets take another series. They've won every series so far in the year. You pointed it out to us, Kyle, to off air before we were kind of doing our show prep and everything like that. So let's actually start there before we kind of jump into each game itself for the series. I think we all kind of figured this would be a different Mets team, certainly a better Mets team. And I keep kind of banging this drum a little bit, but we all kind of figured with Buck Showalter being there, it'd be a different mentality, a different style of play than what the Mets have been accustomed to the past couple seasons. And really, to be fair, this is kind of, to me, the first time that MO really that I thought there would be contenders since Terry Collins. I was a big Terry Collins fan. I know a lot of people can kind of take or leave Terry, and it's a bit understandable. I think his track record before he got to the Mets was justified and maybe questioning that, but Terry was a really good person for the job at the time, and it's a very similar roster, a lot of turnover, not a lot of turnover, but a lot of staples from the Terry Collins you're still with the Mets playing wise. But Terry was a player's manager, but he held people accountable. And Buck Showalter is very much the same way. Buck is arguably probably one of the best managers, if not the best manager of our lifetimes in a way. The only thing he doesn't have is obviously a World Series ring as a manager. But he's laid the groundwork to a lot of different great teams through the years. Obviously with the Yankees from really the mid to the early to mid 90s, right? I mean, he got him to the 95 wild card series against Seattle, and then gets fired, obviously, and Joe Torre comes in next year. They win the World Series. Buck Showalter is the inaugural manager of the Diamondbacks, lays the groundwork there for them when they end up winning the World Series in 2001 with, his name escapes me, I think Bobby Bradley or whatever his name was there. Again, another situation, goes to Texas, kind of lays the groundwork there for Ron Washington to kind of really capitalize on that. Another manager who I love and a coach that I love, Ron Washington, but lays the groundwork there to get to where they need to go. And then the same thing with Baltimore. Baltimore, he was there. He didn't really lay the groundwork for them there, but built it up and probably really took about that team as far as he really could with that. This is, in my mind, the first team that he's probably been with since that Yankee team in the early and mid-'90s, where there is certainly a bit of a win-now mentality with it, and a winning combination already available to him on the roster to capitalize with. And I definitely think he's the main reason right now for it. Yeah, like I said, this team, a lot of it is the same players from last year and the year before that. And, not knock on Rojas, but you just couldn't quite get what Buck is getting out of these guys right now. I guess really the question I'll pose to you at this point, Kyle, is, Buck in this decision making and his difference in the clubhouse, is that the main thing right now for the Mets, really pole vaulting them to the top?
Yeah, there's definitely a different vibe that I can just see, watching some of their games. The players just seem more into it. They just seem like they're having a lot of fun. They're basically just a fun group to watch. And I think Buck is, the things he's saying in the clubhouse and the things he's doing behind the scenes is really helping the team, just roll like they are. Like, they literally have won every series. Like, that's very hard to do, especially in Major League Baseball.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the major leagues, I guess really in any sport, to be fair, right? I mean, it's easy to kind of throw coaches under the bus in that sense. And it's a high-pressure situation, right? Now all of a sudden, I'm also used it as an example last year because it's fresh, at least on our three brains here in the studio anyway, just given where our fandom lies elsewhere in other sports. How quick things can turn on a guy, like I said, the perfect example of this is Nate McMillan with the Atlanta Hawks in a way, because, right, accolades last year, comes in mid-year, takes the Hawks to the playoffs last year, and now every Atlanta fan wants him just out to pasture because they did not do as well in the playoffs this year, obviously, against the Heat as they did last year against the Knicks. So it's obviously the high-pressure situations, right? And
I would give that to Tom Thibodeau, too, Paul.
Tibbs?
Yeah.
I know you're the Knick fan behind over there, but I think...
Jay Wright. I want Jay Wright.
I have a theory about where he would go if he does do the NBA route, but I think that's a different podcast for a different day. So let's kind of now dive into this series against St. Louis, because for the Mets, it encapsulates really what the season's been about so far for them in these three games, right? So they take, obviously, we'll start from the macro and then work ourselves into the micro here today with them. So obviously they take another series win collectively overall, have not dropped one all year. You can't ask for a better start in that sense, right? In baseball, you always talk about you don't need a sweep series, but what you need to do is, at least when it's an even game series, where it's 2 or 4 games, you split. And where it's the 3-game series, right, you take 2 of 1. In theory, you win every 2 games out of 3 in baseball. That's what you want. That's how you consider, you put yourselves in a good spot. The Mets are well beyond doing that at this point at 14-6, still leading the NL East with that. So let's jump into Monday's game. And then you'll notice where we'll pick up on things here as we get to Tuesday's game. So 5-2 victory on Monday night. Rough game, oddly enough, for our boys over at SNY. It wasn't anybody's fault in the booth, but for us here, me and Nate can speak from experience. Producing can be pretty tough sometimes, and when you miss a big moment, you never want to. But luckily for SNY, they kind of were able to jump in fairly quickly-ish enough to kind of see the more celebratory nature of it. But so we'll start from the statistical here. Trevor May picks up the win out of the bullpen after blowing it for the Mets. Giovanni Gallegos, former Yankee prospect legend, picks up the loss for the Cardinals. And Sugar Diaz picks up the save, his second on the year. Top performers for the Mets, obviously Max Scherzer, no decision, went 7 innings, gave up 2 hits, 10 strikeouts. Dom Smith, big pinch hit, a couple RBIs for him there, but obviously the main one being Brandon Nimmo with the home run in the 9th. I keep kind of banging this drum. I think the Mets' biggest fault is their bullpen still. What helps And we'll touch on this a little bit more, obviously, when we preview the series coming up. Taijuan Walker's officially off the IL, so you can kind of put Peterson back in the pen now. Kind of shakes up there. You probably don't necessarily have to rely too much on a guy like Trevor May, which sucks. I'm a big Trevor May guy. I mentioned it on the podcast previously. I don't know what's really going on there. I don't know if it's the New York aspect of it, I guess, or what, but not panning out well there. But as you mentioned, kind of before, Kyle, look, I mean, you have the deadline that you kind of work on, but all things considered, a nice blast in the arm for the Mets, a nice little confidence boost again in the arm for the Mets, showing that the offense can step up when they really need to step up in a situation late in the game there.
Yeah, if there's one story with this Mets team early on in the year, it's that they just never give up. I mean, they were trailing in the ninth with 2 outs, and they just put together a 5-run ninth to take the lead. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to point out the Dominic Smith hustle to first base.
Right.
Like, he really understood the situation and just gave it all he had and beat the throw to first, which just kept the inning alive. Then Nimmo hits the home run. They extend the lead. Diaz nails down the save. It's just like the team chemistry is just so good. Yeah. Guys give it all they like. You don't see a lot of guys fly up the line like Dominic Smith did, and that's what I like. And I think Buck, if Dominic Smith didn't run up the line, Buck Showalter wouldn't be too happy with him.
Right. And Dom Smith's he's finally finding his own the past few years, which is nice to see. High-end Met prospect there, and first really year and a half, you didn't think he was going to be able to make it, but he certainly has found a niche for himself really nicely within this Met team. All-star last year. He's one of my favorite players to just watch in general. Okay. And obviously, just to mention, I mean, Brandon Nimmo again here, showing again just a wonderful start to the year for him. Number 1 statistical outfielder in baseball. I don't think many people probably realize that. His fantasy value is really good if you're treading down that path, but you look at his splits, not much better than him at the moment.
Yeah, and I also wanted to point out, I think I read a stat, I'm not sure if you guys know, Max Scherzer has not lost a game since May of last year.
Right.
He's either gotten a no decision or a win. Mm-hmm. That's incredible.
Yeah, I forgot the exact date. I remember it did date back to last year. I didn't think it went as far back to May, though. So
I thought it was like May 16th, but that's just a rough guess.
That's wild. I mean, I think that shows us how, once again, good Max Scherzer is. Okay, here's where things start to get juicy on Tuesday. 3-0 Met victory. Chris, give me my Cy Young Bassett. 3-1 on the year now, 2.25 ERA. Jordan Hicks picked up the loss. He moves to 1-2. There is some injury worry with him, though, so hopefully everything goes well for him. A very promising young arm in baseball. And then Diaz picks up another save, his third on the year. Bassett went 6 innings, gave up 2 hits, 6 strikeouts. James McCann, a nice game for him. He's been coming on pretty nicely as of late. Actually, both him and backup catcher Tomas Nido have been coming on pretty good. But McCann getting the start there, obviously 3 for 4, double RBI and run. Starling Marte went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs, but here's where we start getting into the meat and potatoes of this Mets season and what happened yesterday. The Marte Parte did get beamed, the hit by pitch Tuesday. So, not a ton to really unpack gameplay-wise Tuesday. Was a fairly ho-hum game, in and out for pretty much both teams. Mets had 10 hits. I think the Cardinals had collectively like 7, but nothing too crazy, I suppose, in that Tuesday game. Outside, obviously, of what set the table for yesterday.
Yeah, I pretty much thought of it as just a lousy game. It kind of was a quick game,
Yeah.
but a win's a win.
Right. That's what you need. I mean, you need those to pick up those wins. Which leads us to yesterday's getaway day game for the Mets. 10-6, they lost to the Cardinals. Jake Woodford picks up the win for St. Louis. Cookie Carrasco, the loss for the Mets. Just the quick statistical breakdown here. Lindor, 1 for 4 with a double and RBI. Luis Guillorme, 2 for 4 with a double. The double he tried to stretch into a triple. Did not happen. Really great play out in the outfield there. Was it Tyler O'Neill or was it Bader?
I think it was Tyler O'Neill.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, O'Neill's phenomenal.
Somebody else also
Oh, no, it was Dylan Carlson.
Somebody else also got thrown out though at second trying to stretch.
Yeah, so
too aggressive, you know.
And then Brandon Nimmo again pinch came up and got a double 2 RBI. But the main topic from that game did become the brawl. So I'll turn it over to Nate, who has the stats for us on this one.
So I had to go to Baseball Almanac. I know that's one of Paul's
Yes.
sort of favorite sort of
Almanac
place to see stats.
Almanac and Reference are two of my favorites.
Oh yeah, I love basketball reference, football reference, baseball reference. I love those. And you have to go back to 1898 to find the team that was hit the most. I think I told you guys before we started taping. Does anyone remember what team it was?
I do, but I want to leave it for either Kyle, who doesn't look like he remembers, or the studio the studio audience.
I got it.
Or the audience to have a guess.
Yep, Baltimore. That's correct. They were hit 160 times in 1898, and they only played 148 games that year.
Yeah.
Mets now hit 17 times in 20 games. Probably going to be tough to get to 160, but it's interesting to see that back in 1898, 160 times. That's a lot hit by pitches. It's over 2 a game.
Yeah.
Or over 1 a game, excuse me. Math's not my strong suit.
So, luckily for us, Kyle was a pitcher in high school, so we can kind of lean on him here a little bit and kind of prod his brain and pick his brain on this one, because I wasn't a pitcher in high school. I was better. I did not enjoy getting beaned. I think I got beaned once, and even then, I don't think it was intentional, but nobody likes getting beaned in general, Kyle. This has become an interesting spot, to put it, I guess, mildly, for the Mets. It's tough in today's game because you have the unwritten rule talk pretty much every other day, it seems, stuff along those lines. Do I think all 17 are intentional or accidental one way or another? No, that's just not the way. That's not the way baseball players operate. But as a pitcher, when you do go intentionally or something like that, you have certain spots that you hone in on to hit somebody.
And the situation of the game is also different too. Like, why would a pitcher try to hit someone with 2 on and nobody out, or 2 on 1 out? Like, you just wouldn't do that to load the bases. That would be foolish.
Now, that being said, as a batter, I guess collectively as a team, as your batting order, you do get frustrated when you're just constantly getting hit.
And you feel for Pete Alonso.
Right. This is now Alonso's, is this third hit by pitch on the year?
It's got to be 3rd or 4th.
And I know he said the one
right
up
off
in
the helmet.
Yeah. So
cracked his helmet, actually.
Yeah. So, like I said, I never got beaned more than once in a season. I don't know when you played if you ever got beaten more than multiple times in a season. Nate, I don't know. I know you didn't play as thoroughly and deep as me and Kyle did, but I know you did play. I don't know if you ever got beaten more than once in a season.
I don't think it was more than once, but a couple times throughout my illustrious baseball career.
But like I mentioned, like, no matter what, you don't like getting beaned, whether it's accidental or intentional. I mean, it's not the most pleasant thing in the world. But in the case of Pete Alonso, or really in this situation, any player, right? You do get frustrated after a while with it. I mean, there was this. I'm gonna go in the Rolodex here, and a guy that I think many people kind of forgot about just through the way the shuffling of players kind of happened in the early to mid 2010s and teens. Carlos Quentin, White Sox player, also ended up playing for the Padres. He got beaned, I think it was like 5 times at one point during like the 2012 or 13 season. And on the 6th, he finally just had enough, and it wasn't an intentional one, but he just had to take out his frustration. It was that Greinke who threw it. It was a Greinke curveball that actually beaned him. And clearly that's not an intentional, right, beaning, but Quinn was just so frustrated, he literally just charged the mound, right? And that's pretty much what happened yesterday. It was the frustration element of it for the Mets. And I don't blame them one bit at that point. It's hard not to, right? You're frustrated with getting hit. You're frustrated with really, arguably, whether it's your best hitter, best position player, or second best one getting beaned.
Well, the thing is, I don't know why Nolan Arenado acted the way he did. The pitch never hit him, and it wasn't going to hit his head. if anyone should be mad like that, it should be Pete Alonso or any of the Mets players. So I'm not sure why he really flipped out
that's
about
the
it.
second part to this element, right? Is you have now you have the collateral damage of other players in the way. I say in the way, it's probably not really the best term, right? We have other players now in hand where things can get you know you're getting innocent people involved here that don't necessarily need to be brought in, and that's really where you have the situations where injuries can happen, unfortunately. I remember, I mean, you look at just like you go in these dark holes on YouTube, right? Back in the mid '90s, you know, a game between the Phillies and Expos. I mean, Pedro Martinez drilled somebody on accident, and then he got beamed when he was taking it at bat. And then Pedro took his frustration out. I think it was just like a utility infielder who was getting a spot start and like broke his wrist. So I mean, it's you have, like I said, you have the innocent victims, no matter one way or another, getting involved in it.
And do we really think Buck Showalter told the rookie? I think it was Lopez. If I'm not mistaken. Do we really think he
Yohan
told the
Lopez,
rookie to come in out of the bullpen and drill Arenado? Do we really think that?
Buck to me has never been one of the old guard type of managers, despite him coming from that era.
Especially a rookie. I mean, he's already a rookie and he's got pressure on him, and you want him to drill someone.
And you mentioned game situation. To me, that's not a game situation where you're deliberately beating a guy.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the Cardinals were ahead by a good, I think, 4 runs or something. Yeah. But the game's not over then, especially with the way the Mets have been
exactly,
coming back.
Exactly. In that situation, you don't intentionally go and beat a guy.
That's why I don't know why Arenado was so frustrated. I could see if it hit him in the head or, I guess hit him, but it didn't hit him.
Right. It's tough. It's a tough spot. I always preface it too with this in these situations. I don't know how I would react, and I don't know how anybody else would react, whether it be you, Kyle, or you, Nate, or anybody would react in those situations in the heat of the moment. And Nolan's a competitor. He has been the top third baseman in the league now for pushing the better part of a decade.
And remember, he has been in a brawl before.
Right, and I think, like I said, I think with him it was probably just slightly heat of the moment type stuff. You mentioned he's been in a brawl before.
Yeah, with Colorado.
But he stays fairly even keel most of the time anyway. To me, he's one of the guys where we really have to trigger him to get him going. And maybe it was just a heat of the moment trigger that got him. I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, it was shocking.
But look, these are teams that I wouldn't be surprised if they saw each other in the playoffs. We know how things can kind of get chippy in those situations anyway. But this is going to be a storyline with the Mets all year because of how often they're getting beamed. And eventually, I think it's going to be sooner than later if the pace keeps up of hit by pitches. They've played 20 games, and you look at it, there's been, in theory, a hit by pitch in at least one of them, They're going to end up being the ones causing the melee at some point in that regard because, and I know it sounds bad the way I'm saying it, but whether it's Pete Alonso or one of them, right, they're going to just get frustrated at some point and they're going to go at the mound. And that's something you just got to be careful of, especially on a contending team. You don't want to take yourself out for any reason.
Yeah, suspensions come into play, fines come into play, which fines don't really mean anything to players, but suspensions certainly do if you get, a 4 to 6 game suspension.
Right.
I think Bryce Harper had a kind of a lengthy suspension a couple years ago for charging the mound.
Yeah, he got reduced, though, because there was bad blood anyway between him and Hunter Strickland. I know the one you're talking about. I think it was initially a 5, but they took it down to a 3, so...
Yeah.
Either way.
Definitely don't want to miss games.
Right. Let's take a look at what they got on tap. Off today, it's travel day back home. They take on Philadelphia starting tomorrow, the Phillies. Tomorrow night, 7:10 on SNY, Arenola. Phillies, I guess, technical ace, 1-2 on the year, 3.74 ERA versus Taylor Maygill. 3-0, 2.35 ERA for him. Looks to continue his hot start. Cy Maygill. Saturday night, 7:10 on SNY and FS1. Kyle Gibson for the Phillies, 2-1 on year, 3.47 ERA. Ty Walker for the Mets. He's coming off the IL. Don't know how long he'll go, but I'm really looking forward to seeing Ty back out there. And then Sunday night, 7:08 on ESPN, ESPN2 if you want the K-Rod cast. Zach Eflin for the Phillies, 0-1, 3.45 versus Max Scherzer 3-0, 1.80 ERA.
Paul, how many Cy Youngs they given out this year in the NL? I know
All
you
of
got
them.
Chris Mott, Give Me
give
My
it-
Cy Young Bassett, and Trevor Cygill. So I know you got two candidates on that Mets team right now.
Yeah, I mean, we're giving out all of them and my personal record book.
Don't forget about Nasty Nestor.
Oh, Nasty Nestor, but that's AL. Speaking
Yep.
of Nasty Nestor, the Yankees, Kyle. 12-6 versus the AL East. This has just been a fun pretty much week for them at this point. Kind of getting their footing back, and they're kind of finding their groove. It's nice to see most of that offense finally clicking and going. Good to see the pitching staff kind of clicking and going. But that being said, we'll touch on it with Wednesday's game, with yesterday's game. Tuesday's game, though, obviously off Monday. Tuesday, 12-8 Yankee victory over Baltimore. Severino picks up the win. Jordan Lyles the loss. Top performers there, all on offense, pretty much. Rizzo 3 for 4, 3 home runs. We'll touch on that in a second. Aaron Judge hit a home run as well. Stan went 2 for 4 with the RBI. But the Rizzo 3 home run game, it's nice kind of having that first baseman bat back on the left side of the plate full time, where he can kind of expose the short porch a little bit, a la Mark Teixeira or Jason Giambi.
Perfect swing for Yankee Stadium. I personally did not think the third home run was going out. I don't think anyone really did. And then the camera angle, if you were watching, yes,
Well, it came back.
kind of weird.
It did come back, actually. It was tailing to go foul.
It's just you don't really see that very often. Even Rizzo was like,
I believe Jerry Reed said it best: when you're hot, you're hot. So, but I mean, those 3 guys in that offense right now, Stanton, Rizzo, and Judge, been really great week for them, pretty much.
and even DJ.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I'll leave the stat for you when we get to it with yesterday's game. But yeah, I mean, he's kind of gone on the back burner a little bit as the power guys have found really their consistent spot on the year, and it's kind of fun seeing that meat part of the lineup kind of finally get going. That being said, they need to do a little bit better job showing up, as yesterday kind of told, with a 5-2 win. Michael King picks up the win there. Joey Crable for Baltimore picks up the loss. Clay Holmes picks up his second save on the year. Jordan Montgomery again gets another no decision when 5 2/3, 4 hits, 2 earned, and 4 strikeouts. Just the offense needs to show up for him. The man needs a win.
They refuse to score, it seems like, when he's on the mound.
That being said, they did show up. Gallo hit a home run.
Applause.
Oh, I thought you were going to play it. I think we have it. Go ahead.
Roll it.
All right. Congrats, Joey Gallo. You also had 3 strikeouts yesterday. But Giancarlo Stanton hit a home run, had 3 RBIs yesterday, 2 for 3. But he did have a milestone home run with that. 350 career home runs for Giancarlo.
7th fastest player to reach that milestone, I believe.
Yep.
In Major League history.
Pretty cool to see. I mean, Giancarlo's been one of my favorite guys since he was on the Marlins. Guy we thought might not have the same career, unfortunately, after getting beamed in the face. Now what, 8 years ago? It's wild to think about.
Wow, it's been 8 years.
It's been 7 or 8 years. It's wild to kind of think back on with that. It's tough. I mean, I feel bad for Gumby. He just can't get that offensive help when he's in the game. Like, I don't know what else he can kind of do. He's literally going out there and is doing like exactly what you need him to do.
I'm pretty sure the stat was he's only the Yankees have only gave him 4 runs of support over his first 3 starts.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Especially because he's been going kind of deep into ball games, 5th, 6th. So yeah, it sucks for him, but at least they found a way to win the game.
Justice for my guy Gumby. Okay. Still have one more game against Baltimore today. It's a 105 getaway game for both teams. Bruce Zimmerman for the Orioles against Jameson Tyone for the Yankees. Yankees already have the series. I was slightly worried going in that they probably kind of wouldn't get the series, but they'll get it no matter what. Obviously, though, really pulling for the sweep here. Definitely helping the division standings as well as just regular standing as well there. And then on the road, 3 games in Kansas City. Go ahead, Kyle. No, you got.
No, I just wanted to point out that you're going to say it. Friday's game's on Apple TV Plus. I didn't realize that. That's frustrating.
Yeah, Friday's game tomorrow, 8:10 on Apple TV Plus. Obviously, one of the paid subscription, services. But I will say this: I don't have it. I have a friend who does. We've been watching when we've hung out Friday nights. The few of us, the games that have been on Apple Plus TV. Their coverage is actually really good. I will say that. Obviously, I don't agree with the principle of it, but the crew that they got is really good. Their coverage is great. They actually, in my mind, their graphics package is pretty good, and the stats that they kind of give you are good. They're different. I think if you don't like the advanced stuff, it's not even sabermetrics, but the advanced probabilities and stuff like that, they provide those. If you don't like that, I don't think you'll really enjoy some of the stuff. But that being said, it's one of the more unique broadcasts that they got, and in my mind, they do a really great job. Hunter Pence is a great color commentator, in my opinion. Same with Katie Nolan. And they also have what's-his-face from MLB Network. His name escapes me. Steve.
Yeah, me too.
He's on Intentional Talk now. But he does a really great job on play-by-play. Heidi Watney's there as well every now and then to do the field reporting stuff. So
Steven Nelson?
Yeah, Steve Nelson. Honestly, the crew is really good. It's a really good crew. They mesh well together. Again, though, I don't agree with the principle. But either way, the broadcast is actually really good.
Just like Amazon Prime and Peacock, like how many more streaming things do we need?
Right. Well, again, this part is a different, probably podcast for a different day, but it's the way of the future. I don't want to be the doomsday guy there, but that's the way of the future. Anyway, Friday, 8:10 Apple TV Plus or Plus TV, I don't know whatever the hell it's called. Nasty Nestor Cortez, Cy Cortez. Gets to start. Still looking for his first decision on the year as well. 1.15 ERA against Chris Bubik for the Royals. 0-1 on the year, 14.14
Yeah,
ERA.
that's quite the ERA. It pops right out.
Yeah. Saturday, Garrett Cole Day, 7-10 on yes. Cole 1-0 against Carlos Hernandez. He's looking for his first decision on the year for the Royals. And then Sunday afternoon, 2-10 on yes. Luis Severino and Daniel Lynch. A nice little surprise guy for the Royals. They're hoping to get him kind of going. He was one of their top prospects for a while there. Now he's kind of finally finding his footing.
Isn't he one of their best starters?
Yeah, he's I believe he's 2-0 on the year. So it's going to be an interesting series. Kansas City was kind of like one of the preseason dark horse darlings, and I expected they do kind of pick it up. They actually have the inverse of the Yankee record right now at 6-12. I'd expect to get them going a little bit. Their offense they're in a weird funk right now. Like Whit Merrifield's below the Mendoza line. Michael Taylor's struggling. Like he's right above the Mendoza line. Perez has been kind of spotty every now and then. But I anticipate them to get going. I'm a Mike Matheny guy. I think he got unjustly canned in St. Louis the first time around. He's a good manager. He'll get him going.
Yeah, and they just finished up a road trip, so heading back home, they could get going, which...
Plus, for the Jersey people out there, the Uni-Watch guys, Royals will be debuting their City Connect uniforms this series as well. I'm a big fan of them, actually. I don't know if you've seen them, guys. But they're a nice darker blue, and they kind of honor Kansas City's fountain connection. They're really good. I like the way the blues kind of pair up with each other. Sorry, I'm going on the Uni-Watch. I'm a big jersey and hat guy when you get it going at the end of the day. So, but big series to me for the Yankees there. I do think they win this series, but this is a Royals team that you can't sleep on by any stretch. All right, let's get out here by talking down on the farm. Not a ton to really talk about, unfortunately, with that, because Rochester and Syracuse, obviously, they're playing this week. But yesterday's game on Wednesday was postponed because of the weather. So they've only played one game so far this series, and that was a 10-9 Rochester victory over Syracuse Tuesday night. Eric Manoah picks up the win. That's Alex Manoah's brother, for those wondering. At home, Eric Orzi for Syracuse picks up the loss, and Jordan Weems picks up the save for Rochester. Really, it was kind of a...
Syracuse led 8-1.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Syracuse led 8-1, and I forgot what inning Rochester started to come back, but they led 8-1 early. So it was like kind of like, wow, all right, they're going to run away with it. And then all of a sudden, Rochester's offense, big 3-run home runs from a couple guys, I think.
Yeah.
Somebody hit 2, if I remember right.
Yeah, so for Rochester, it was Luis Garcia.
Luis
who had two,
Garcia.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this is honestly the names on offense are kind of the names that we've been expecting to pop up to be those main ones, right? Luis Garcia, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, 3 runs in a rock. Chase Perea, who again I love. He's one of my favorite catchers to kind of watch. He's been kind of a quad A guy for the Nationals now for a couple of years. But he had a home run in that game as well. And they use him in a very interesting spot. Matt Lecroy uses him pretty much to flip the order back around in the ninth hole. And that's sometimes a tough spot as a catcher, to be honest with you. But when you're a good enough hitter like he is, it works out well, and he's quick enough, it works out well. He kind of gets this unsung hero role on the Red Wings because you have a guy like Luis Garcia there, top prospect. Same with, obviously, battery mate wise, you have a guy like Cade Cavalli, who is the Nationals' top prospect. So a guy like Berea gets kind of swept under the rug, kind of almost unintentionally.
Yeah, he's had some big hits. I've seen his name quite a bit on the box score. I believe his home run actually tied the game at 8 in that game. But yeah, he's been coming up pretty huge for the team.
And then this was a name to get used to. Donovan Casey had a home run, 3-run home run in that game as well. He's another prospect for the Nationals. They're really looking forward to. I wouldn't say exactly counting on right now to get up to the big league level, but they're letting him marinate, and he's done really well. And obviously for Syracuse, look, their bats are coming on. Daniel Paca had a double in RBI, Carlos Rincon double home run, a couple RBIs there. Travis Blankenhorn had a couple hits, an RBI, and a stolen base for Syracuse as well. Yeah, I mean, their bullpen let them down about the biggest way you could that game. Their offense, like you mentioned, Kyle, just jumped out early, got going early. Just the pitching couldn't be there. And, look, the offense probably needed to grab a hit at some point there later on in the game. And, they did. They were able to push across one more run, but just a little bit too little too late in that realm.
Yeah, 9 runs should be enough, though, to win a game. And
Right.
that's what's frustrating. The offense did all they could, and the pitching let them down, as usual, because that's happened, 10 times?
Yeah, feels like it. I mean, at least 10 times. I mean, they are 6-12. But, yeah, so obviously, like we mentioned, yesterday's game got postponed because of the weather. So tonight's college night at Frontier Field, if you can make it out. Nothing going on promo-wise tomorrow night, Friday night. But Saturday still is Autism Awareness Night, and it's now a day-night doubleheader. They're making up the game from yesterday on Saturday. So you're looking at a 1:05 first pitch in the afternoon there, and then I believe it's actually technically 6:05 on Saturday.
There is a promo on Friday night. It's Meet Paul Russo, Meet Nate Sharman night, as we're looking to be
right,
at
yes.
Frontier Field on Friday night. So you'll see a couple of the hosts from Concrete Jungle. Going to that game, we're going hopefully with Josh Durso here, Finger Lakes 1. We had a kind of sparked a debate. Where is the best spot to sit
That's a good point, yeah.
at a baseball game? I would love to hear from the YouTube viewers down in the comments. Let us know. I say to the right of the batter behind. Josh says on the third baseline. I think, Paul, you like it on that third baseline as well,
at Frontier
too.
Field, I do prefer third baseline. I think it all depends, though, whichever venue you're at.
I would love to hear from the viewers, and Kyle Evans, I'd love to hear your answer, too. Where's your favorite
Third
spot to sit?
baseline, 10 rows up from behind the dugout.
Okay.
Okay, so it sounds like you're in the majority of this debate here. So
Well,
far.
home plate, I don't know. I like
that off to the right
I
side.
just don't like
I
the
said-
netting, really.
Like I said, it depends venue because, for instance, for me, the last big league game I went to was down in Pittsburgh at PNC Park. Without a doubt, I need to be
Top 3 park in the MLB, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. But I prefer there no matter what. You have to be somewhere behind the home plate-ish area just so you have the full skyline view of Pittsburgh.
I thought you would like to be behind the home plate to see Milo at Rochester.
Well, Milo, I don't think is going to be there this week.
Oh, it's only a limited time, and Milo's there, right? Yeah.
Right. Of course, when Milo's there, it's a different story. But there's never a bad view when Milo's retrieving the bats. So, either way. Yeah, Nate, I'm really looking forward to it. It should be a really fun one. I know the weather's looking decent. I know it's not supposed to be super warm, but it's not supposed to be cold either.
You guys ready for a slugfest? I think it's coming.
I hope it's either a slugfest or we got like a perfect game duel or something like that going on. So
I think Nate prefers good pitching performances, don't you?
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I
Actually,
like to see a pitching duel or a slugfest. Because kind of like what Paul said. I don't really like it in the middle. A 4-2 game isn't as fun. 10-9 game's a lot of fun. A 1-0 game, pitching duel is a lot of fun to me too. So I think either way on either of the two sides is where I prefer it.
I think it's either today or tomorrow. They're both wearing their food-inspired alternate uniforms, by the way.
Thursday nights is plate night, right?
Yeah, but they do the series now as part of the food fight thing between. They kind of include Buffalo with it too, where the Buffalo does their hot wings, the Buffalo wings. Yeah. Rochester's the plates, and then Syracuse is the salt potatoes. So I can't remember if it's tonight where they're doing that or if they're doing it tomorrow. Either way.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah. All right. That wraps up Concrete Jungle, a New York Baseball podcast for Thursday. Appreciate everybody tuning in and listening. If you can't catch us live here on YouTube, you can always catch up anytime on YouTube to watch the visual version. You can check us out audio only on Spotify and Anchor. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate you, Kyle Evans. Have a fantastic weekend over there.
Thank you. Have a great night at the game on Friday.
Thank you. For Nate Sharman, appreciate him behind the scenes. I'm Paul Russo. Coming to you guys. Enjoy the weekend. Should it be a good one? Go catch a game if you can. We'll see you Monday.